In our School Matters series, we're looking at the important role historically black colleges and universities have played in America's education system. Oprah Winfrey, Spike Lee, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are all graduates of these institutions. The majority of HBCUs were founded after the Civil War to provide higher education for African Americans. Most U.S. schools continue to prohibit black people from attending for a century after slavery was abolished. CBS This Morning Saturday co-host Michelle Miller shows us why many HBCUs are seeing increases in enrollment, but still facing big funding challenges.
At the heart of historically black colleges is the black experience. So why Howard?
We had a collective understanding that we come from different places, but we have this collective unity.
But beyond culture is curriculum.
What have you seen FISC provide you that you don't think you would have gotten at a PWI, a predominantly white institution?
Learning about my history, learning about where we come from before slavery. I think it's something that needs to be discussed because in regular school, we don't learn that. That's not a part of the curriculum.
Since 1867, Howard University in Washington, D.C. has awarded more than 100,000 degrees and ranks among the highest producers of the nation's black professionals. Howard University President Wayne Frederick, M.D.
Over the past 50 years, the number one producer of African Americans who went to Harvard's MBA program was Harvard undergrad, and number two was Howard.
What have HBCUs produced? 80% of the nation's black judges, 50% of its black doctors, and now...
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
The first woman who happens to be black, elected Vice President of the United States.
There were once about 400 historically black institutions, or HBCUs. There are about 100 left, and they were the ones that survived and made it through all the tough times.
Van Newkirk is the interim president of the historically black Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, founded in 1866.
We turn out folks like W.B. Du Bois, Ida Wells, John Hope Franklin, John Lewis. We have a history of turning out folks who are endued with social justice.
About 1/3 of HBCUs have experienced record increases in applications and enrollment over the past 3 years, according to the Center for Minority Serving Institutions.
Why do you think we're seeing record-breaking enrollment?
When we look at what's going on in the nation right now, issues around social justice and racism.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
I see students coming back to HBCUs, coming home. I want to make sure that we move more into the mainstream and we become a university that is sustainable.
That sustainability becomes even more challenging with students in need. According to the American Council on Education, over 70% of HBCU students have limited finances.
Why have so many of the HBCUs struggled financially?
Well, for two reasons. One, the black community is one of the poorest communities in America. And frankly, because philanthropy.
Michael Lomax of the United Negro College Fund says HBCUs have rarely gotten large donations, resulting in endowments that are about 70% smaller than other schools. But 2020 ushered in the biggest donations in HBCU history, $120 million from Netflix CEO Reed Hastings, and $500 million from Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos.
These big gifts mean that American philanthropy is beginning to see that equity and equality mean equitable giving as well.
Students tell me you can't put a price tag on what they gain at HBCUs.
I feel like I'm getting a foundation to help develop the framework of how I'm going to live the rest of my life.
FISC gave me confidence. I could be myself in every arena, and I didn't have to change who I was.
For CBS This Morning, HBCU grad and Howard University alum, Michelle Miller.
Love that.
Michelle.
Listen, we are a better country because HBCUs exist.
Yeah, I mean, to hear that stat, they're 80% of the nation's black judges, 50% of its black doctors. But then you look at the endowments, that's huge.
Right.
That you don't have the same support financially.
And that's why that money needs to keep flowing to those HBCUs.